My role is to moderate this section about the view of practitioners. So I'm very pleased to have with me Luis, Carlos, and Pedro. And I also want to thank all of them because I know there have been some replacement at the very end. So thanks to all of you for being here today. I would like to keep this section very dynamic. So if you agree, I have thought about three set of sections. The first would be more introductory about your role as professionals and what you can see about this. The second one maybe will be a little bit more technical and specific. So you will help me to understand what are the new skills that also are required today. And then I will ask you some looking forward to the future of this field. So this is basically what we are going to see together. So first of all, I would like to ask you to all of you, so just a very few words about what are the biggest operational challenges today that you have seen in the last 12 months? So in the last 12 months, which have been the biggest challenge in your team and also daily work, in your different field where you are working? Maybe I can ask you, Luis, to start, and then we can go in this way. Okay?
Thank you. Well, from the assurance point of view, the main challenge for us has been facing a new reporting period where CSRD has become the main topic, and the companies has to comply with these requirements for the first time. This new reporting also have an impact on our procedures. So we have to face new ways to document the work that we do. New procedures in order to provide the highest quality to the work. And we have also obviously seen new information disclosed by companies, so we have to make express knowledge of what we have to review in terms of new information. And also a challenge has been that a huge increase on the information the company has to report, and we have seen that the timings has been basically the same as previous years, so that's been a big change.
Sorry, this one. Thank you so much. And what's your experience, Carlos?
Well, first of all, thank you, Erika. Thank you, Nico, for inviting me to participate. Well, it has been very challenging because last year was the first one that this created a sustainability report, and we made it according to CSRD and to the VSME standard. We were the first companies in Spain of adjusting the standard for reporting, so we have to learn many things in the way of creating it, along with our auditor. We learned together because we were the first one. So it was very challenging, and it was challenging in terms of the team and the staff. We just hired a colleague, not just for reporting, but also for managing these projects. But one of his main tasks will be reporting for the next 3, 4, 5 months. And not only to work for this in the reporting, we are the professional association in Spain, and his role will also be advising our associates in the process of reporting, because we as this have many associates of small and medium companies that can report according to this standard. So this role will also be advising these associates, and it has been challenging also in the way of collecting data. Okay, so we will have to, or we are investing also in technology, because data is crucial at the way we collect it also. So human and technological resources will be our main challenges.
Okay, thank you, Carlos, so much. And Pedro, what's the viewpoint from the financial institution?
Thank you very much, Erika. Thank you very much, Nico. It's great to come back to the university and to to hear what the academic part of the sustainability thinks about how are we producing our sustainability reports. Imagine it has been changing from the assurance point of view to review what we produced for the first time last year. I think that our challenge began 4 years ago with the Pillar 3 ESG of European Banking Authority, and also with the EU Green Taxonomy. So last year was how we saw these figures in our financial report, but the work began 4 years before. So we have to build new systems, new processes, new data collections from the beginning. And this is not only a job that we have done in the financial department, it's a very cross-functional job. And I have had this idea before in the previous panel, because not only the reporting function is in charge of all these processes, but it has been a big challenge. So for sure, our adaptation to the European standards, because we have evolved from very qualitative reports based on the international standards, or more qualitative, more private standards, to European standards that has been reviewed by our external auditor, like the previous one, but this time with more focus. So, and what is true is the challenge is not to prepare, because we are very aware of what we are doing. The challenge is to convince the organization that the mindset has to change. And this is a very complicated part of our function. Why, if we were doing this in that way, why would have to change, and why it is important? And this is a very important role that we play when we prepare the financial information.
Thank you, Pedro. You've helped me to frame my second question for all of you, which is more oriented about, the future role of professional accountant. You mentioned about this transformation, and you also mentioned about the way in which different skills and competencies need to converge into dialogue between them. So my second question for all of you, maybe we can start from you this time, is about do you need that the way in which the professional accountant will evolve is like taking a distinguished role between financial accountant and sustainability accountant, or do you think that who is dealing with financial accountant issues should be more aware about sustainability? So where is the link between them? Are they considered like silos or skills? Because this is also connected to the previous panel, how we as university have to design our courses or our masters. So it's more important to have skills that are combined, or maybe who is taking care of the financial issues do not have to consider the sustainability challenge. Sorry for the long question.
Very interesting question. Because I don't know if we can talk about accountant, but we can talk about the financial function. When we see our financials, we see our profitability, our budget, our capital consumption, our loss loan provisions. So all these topics enters in the information that we produce. But also, right now, the ESG information is another input. So what we have to assure is that all our operations or deals have all these topics. We know what is the profitability of a loan. We know what is the greenhouse gas emission associated to that loan. We know the capital consumption of the loan, and we know the loan loss provision associated to the loan. So it's another axis on the information that we produce. But what we need to know is that all our balance sheet has traceability with capital, with profit and loss, interest rate, and with the greenhouse emission, the physical risk, the efficiency, energetic efficiency. So all this information is that we have been building for instance, to prepare Pillar 3 ESG information. That is an input for our sustainability report, because we have only one measure. The information that we use for the Pillar 3 is the information that we use for the sustainability report. Can be different.
Yes, thank you. So it's a connection from your viewpoint. It's a connection of skills. So let's see maybe what KPMG and the auditors role has. So do you think that the auditing that have developed in the financial field could be or should be completely separated from the sustainability role, or they are connected?
I think that it should be together. So, and that's what my own opinion, but KPMG's opinion. So, 2 years ago, the assurance process were provided from the consultancy side, and a new department was created, the assurance department inside the audit area, just to make a better assurance, because we have more connection with the audit team. We help them to review for certain companies and certain industries the impacts of, for example, climate change, risk and opportunities, balance sheet, and we also are under the umbrella of audit, so that means that we have to comply with independence, the same independence requirements that the audit side has. We have an internal review of our job that wasn't previously made that quality when we were in the accounting side. And also we have internal KPIs to evaluate how are we doing the job. So I think for sure we have to work together with the other team, and it's something that we have been doing a lot in the last couple of years. With this CSRD development, when it's approved in Spain, the ultimate responsible of the assurance process will be the audit partner. So he's going to be the one that is going to sync all the information. So that's also why the audit partners are getting involved in the process and are being trained to understand all the application now. It has to be reported. So
thank you. And Carlos, from your viewpoint,
the ideal future would be that both functions will be together. That's the ideal, as we said, but my perception is nowadays is there are separate roles. Perhaps not in the accounting firms or the consultants, but the final clients, my vision is that finance goes by one way and sustainability accounting goes the other way. Sometimes they speak a lot, and sometimes they don't even know each other. So the ideal future is, or my desire is to work more together or be united and integrated, but nowadays my perception is that still they don't know each other very well. Perhaps regulation will still help in that process, but I think for sustainability teams, we have to be able to communicate better with financial department and let them know that one of their main roles would be or should be sustainability or projects regarding sustainability, and we have to make them know the added value of working with sustainability criteria. So we still have to work and speak a lot.
And maybe this is also a way in which we can encounter different functions exactly for, merging these opportunities. I have a specific question for you, Carlos, which is, related to what you also said before about the role of DIRSE in supporting the other organizations. So how do you see the challenge between, working with organizations that prefer to adopt a more compliant approach to these regulations, so means just ticking the box, and do because the regulation asks to do this, or use these regulation to really trying to change something, maybe you can tell us what, change something and foster a change in our society towards sustainability.
Well, it's a role that we have to assume that to explain better the sustainability function and the added value. When you make the sustainability report and the process, I experienced that first person. Data are not cold things or just data. Data tells stories. Data speak about the context, speak about the challenges, speak about the future, speak about what you are doing great or what you are doing wrong. So we have to take advantage of those data to improve things. And I can speak, as I told you before, we made our first report last year, according to CSRT, and during the process of making this report, during extracting and collecting data, we started to make improvements. Because you notice other things that you didn't know, and you notice that you can do things better. And during the process, before ending the report, we started making changes. So data are not just data, data tell things. So I think we have to take advantage of that.
And this is strictly connected to what also Giovanna Michelon explained before about the process, because what you are learning us now is that, data could be able to go with a change towards organization.
Of course.
And you also every one of you mentioned about the data. So maybe if you want to add something about this, how data could help to drive a change. What do you think, Pedro? Sorry, no, it's me, sorry.
But data is the data is not necessary for reporting. The data is necessary for the business. If we don't have the data integrated in how we are doing business, we will never could collect data for producing reporting. Is key. We have to analyze our clients at the very beginning. We have to know the volume of the greenhouse gas emissions. This is going to drive our decisions with one client to be there or not. So the data that we are using in our core business processes, and for us it's strategic to promote new sustainability business. But the data that our front lines are using is the same data that we are using to produce our financial information. If the data is not there, to collect data for producing reports, nobody is going to sponsor it. So the data is important in the front line of every business. And this sometimes we can work with provisional data, with estimations, but we can weigh up the perfect data to take actions. So I think, yeah, and this is the relevance of the data. The final figure is the final figure, but we have to assure that the data is in the front office of, in the front line of our business, because if we don't manage the business, physical risk, transition risk, all this kind of measure, to establish an obligation of reporting is not the driver to collect data.
I love this message. If I can just say, sorry for, saying it again, but I think that the key message that, the driver for doing sustainability reporting should not be, the way, I mean, I know, you say better than me. I say that, we cannot collect data for the sake of sustainability reporting, but we have to manage data for risk mitigation.
Yeah.
This is what I think this is really helpful for company. And Luis, what about data in assurance?
Talking about this, I want to give you an example of how reporting has impact on companies, on sustainability perception of the business. And since 2019, Spain is it's mandatory to report information and to have an assurance process. So I've been working since 2019 with companies in order to proceed this assurance process. And I have seen that at the very beginning was just question mark and just try to comply with the law. But with the years, I've seen that this reporting initiative is like water on the storm. So at the beginning, you don't see an impact, but after a few years, you start to see that really have changed the company. And it's a big company. It's an industrial company, and they at the beginning the reporting was led by the communication department, and a few years later that the responsible was the strategy department. And once the strategy department started to be the responsible of that, they start to creating an ESG dashboard with ESG KPIs to see how the business was being developed. They have to define objectives in terms of that has an impact on variable remuneration of the company, and they really are changing the business, and now they are starting to move from a traditional industrial business to one that is trying to be to create a circular economy business. So you can see that it really started with just reporting to comply with the law, and then they changed the whole way around. So it shouldn't be, in my opinion, shouldn't be that way, but it's what happens, and is what I have seen in this company.
And taking from your experience, I would like to start to move to my second, set of questions regarding this new regulation. I think this has been a tsunami for the organization, especially the last, version of not the last, because we are still waiting for the decision on the omnibus, but the last one that we know at the moment, we can see like this. So if you could help us to understand how have you seen, this evolution, so from the NFRD to the CSRD, and especially in this transition, or, to afford the last one that we have, which have been the most challenges in terms of methodologies, data collection process, I don't know, skills, whatever you've seen in the companies that you have worked with?
I would say that in Spain probably has been easier to adapt to the CSRD because we have a culture of reporting and as an assurance process related to that, which is may completely different to just report and being under the provision of someone else. So it has been challenging, but it has been less challenging than the rest of Europe, from my point of view, and from what I know from other colleagues in Europe. But I would say that probably the main challenge has been changing the way to see how to approach the report of ESG information, because some companies just report everything, and when they had to develop this double materiality analysis and just report few information, they have sometimes they didn't want to stop reporting what they have been reporting in the previous years, even if it doesn't really have an impact on their business. So, for example, I don't know, a company that really don't have facilities that has a big impact on environmental biodiversity, they really want to continue reporting that, and it really doesn't make any sense. Because it's not what an investor or a stakeholder expects you to report, rather than all the information that probably you're not reporting. And a good example for that is, for example, Scope 3 emissions. So companies are right now dealing with that, trying to report information, but the approach that most of them are using now is I'm going to report the easiest, well, the information that is easier to obtain and to report, rather than information that really is key for my sector or for my company or related with my activity. So,
but do you think that this behavior is due to maybe the complexity of having the data?
For sure, because as you know, Scope 3 has 15 categories, and there are some of them ask you to report emissions for your employees commuting, for example, and which is easier to collect and to make an estimation of that, a fair estimation. But when you talk about investments, or when you talk about emissions related to purchasing, is really complex to obtain the data. So it's a key thing for companies next few years will be that, and also that have been discussed in the previous panel, the financial impacts of ESG risks in terms of climate change.
Yeah, this maybe we also ask him again. But another specific question for you, it's about the assurance, because the MFRID didn't provide assurance, and now the CSRD introduced, this new assurance. So, what are the skills that should be developed? What are the challenges to do this? How we translate the traditional financial assurance procedure to the sustainability one? So, what are the challenges about this new task?
Yeah. I would say that, as I already said, in Spain, the assurance was mandatory, but when they made the transposition from this apprentice directive to its Spanish regulation, it was a key improvement that they do was to make the mandatory assurance. But I think it's in terms of complexity, it's quite difficult. For example, when we talk about materiality of the information or scope of the information, when we talk about economics, we can say, okay, €1 million is going to be my materiality. But in terms of ESG data, you have to deal with emissions, people, human rights, suppliers. So you have to develop different scopes. You have to define different scope of information and different materialities in order to really review and assure that the information that is being provided really it's the one that the company should be reporting, because some companies said, okay, I'm going to report aligned with the financial scope, and I'm going to report 95% of the business. But in terms of environmental impacts, for example, maybe you are not considering activities that are in countries with a huge risk of environmental impact or human rights impact. So we have to use that from the ESG side. We have to use that financial approach in order to understand the business, but then we have to make sure that our procedures really try to catch where the risk is in terms of quality data and that's important. So
challenges.
Yeah.
This is challenging.
Yeah.
This is challenging, but also you have to introduce the other question from Carlos about the materiality in practice. So how works the materiality in practice? What are the main challenges that you have seen from your viewpoint? The double materiality, or
I'm sure that Luis explained it much better than me, and he has explained a little bit, but we have to differentiate between what the standard asks for, okay, what the review asks for, and what are the interests of our investors and stakeholders. I think we can combine them. Perhaps sometimes there is some misunderstanding or some tension or whatever between both, but I think that both are compatible and can work together, because the regulation standard defines an umbrella, a structure of reporting, but materiality defines which is important for the company and what is important for our stakeholders, and make our life easier to choose what we can report. Well, nowadays we have the double materiality. That I think is a step forward. We have before, and we can measure, or we can define our external and internal impacts, and help us to find what can we report, or which are the main subjects for stakeholders to report in our yearly report.
You also had me to, frame the other question for Pedro, which is about the role of financial institution. So, as you know, Carlos has just said, when companies define materiality, means that they are looking for what is relevant for them and what is relevant for the other stakeholders. And you already said that, it depends also what financial institutions are asking for. But my question for you is more specific, is about, do you perceive that at the moment, this new regulatory framework and the new regulation and reporting has changed the capital allocation? So means, is there a way in which, these metrics are robust enough to change the way in which capital is allocated? So means that companies that are able to demonstrate a higher degree of sustainability could have an evaluation in terms of credit worthiness, which is different from others, for instance.
Capital allocation. We have just published our new strategic priorities, and one of these priorities is to continue to challenge new sustainability business, and the figure is tremendous. We can see that some regulations are, stopping or waiting or something like that. And what is true is that this movement has started. We have to decarbonize a lot of sectors. Other sectors are going to be difficult, or right now, aviation, shipping. It will take decades to solve these problems. But all the transition to in other sectors is going to be more easy. So it's not just only about climate change, it's always transition. If we see the Spanish, I sometimes use the artificial intelligence to investigate the certificate, the distribution of the energy certificates in Spain. It's very curious because it was built, I think, in around 2010, where the distribution was very all in D and E. Spain has stopped to produce new buildings, so our statistics are centered in this distribution. The amount of the new buildings is only 3% of the total. So we can change the distribution at the rhythm that we have now. So if we be more efficient in terms of our mortgages, we have to renovate all the I don't have mortgage right now. But I don't want to enter in a new mortgage to do my time more efficient, because this is a pain I have passed. So and this is this transition is going to be a business challenge, because I think that Spain and a lot of countries, but imagine a banking like BBVA, that we have mortgages here in Mexico, in Peru, in Colombia, where this they have social warnings or more social topics than climate topics. So it's a different challenge. We are not. The business case for mortgages in these countries is different than the business case in Spain. So we think for the return, our objective of our mobilization is not only about climate, it's about climate, biodiversity, water, inclusive growth. So we follow our own definition, but we try to promote not sustainability only about climate change, but all across the topics that form the concept of sustainability.
Thank you for this comment. This is also connected to what Michele, Andreas, and Shona said before that. Even if it's a geopolitical situation which is different from many years ago, you said that this movement, cannot be back. So we cannot go back to a war that was before the NFRD, I would say, another level before. So I'm very happy about this, because I also think that you said, the transition is needed, and this move, has started, so we have to go ahead in this direction. And I agree with this, but
yeah,
we didn't agree on this before, so I'm very happy that you see. So moving to our last, questions, I would like to ask you, all of you, some looking forward. So where would you like to go? Just imagining in the next maybe 5 years, or I don't know. So first question for all of you would be about, in your specific role that you have, more about skills and competencies that you think, also maybe future managers. So I'm thinking about my students that they are forming into our university should have. And also in terms of soft skills, so not maybe only hard skills, because I understand they have to learn what are the ESRS standards, okay, that's good. But maybe if you, from your professional viewpoint, you can help us to understand which are the most important soft skills that maybe future accountant should or could have. So we can start from you, Carlos. Thank you.
I think this is very, very important skill. Perhaps soft skills are more important than hard skills in some ways. Listening is crucial, because if we want to go beyond cold data and to create value, we will have to understand the company as a whole. To understand the company as a whole, we have to be able to speak and listen to other colleagues and other departments, and what is important for them. Sustainability is a transversal function, so the most transversal in the companies, and we have to be able to understand the other departments, the other areas, their targets, challenges, and so on. So listening, transversal, we have to be able to understand the business. I don't know how to say perogrullo in English, but we have to understand the business. We have to understand also the, and I see, as Dirk said, we have thousands of associates from many different companies. The sector standards are important, because it is are very different from one company to another. Each standard has special needs and challenges, and dialogue, empathy, and listening.
Dialogue, empathy, and listening. Thank you so much. Luis?
I would say the appetite to learn, because you have to learn every day. New things, new regulation, new ways to calculate whatever. Be able to persuade all the people that you really need to get involved in this process. So people from other departments, as you say, communication, they'll be able to understand their pains and how can you help them to help you. And I would say be resilient also. Be resilient because for sure, if companies just are focused on the external things are going to be changing a lot. And one day you can say something and the other day you change it. So yeah, so I think that companies have to make an analysis of what they are, and what they want to become as a company, and define a path, and then listen to what is happening around, but just try to integrate that into what, if that helps them to get where they want to get, sure, listen to that and try to follow it. But if not, maybe it's not your thing. So I think that in the future we're gonna see many of these, and I think those three things are important.
Thank you. So learn and be resilient. And Pedro?
I don't know if I can add anything to what Carlos has said, because the curiosity, the interest for learning new things, because it's very important. Every day we see a new fact paper, a new last week, the new standard like A4GE, but in the social aspect. So you can wait to see what a teacher is going to teach you. You have to open this document, try to understand it, to translate these trends to the organization. So the curiosity is key, because as Carlos has said, is changing every day, and you never are up to date in this sustainability topic. It's very important. Persuasion, the capacity to communicate. As I said at the beginning, the problem is not the new rule. The problem is how the organization is going to understand the new rule. If you are not with your own criteria, nobody is going to understand what are you saying. So these skills not only to know the regulation, the skill is to be able to create your own opinion and go with this opinion to all your partners, internal partners, auditors, to demonstrate them that you are in the way you want to go. No? But I think Carlos has assumed the skill.
Thank you. So one very final point final thought from the viewpoint, which is, if you just imagine you're looking ahead 5 years, how do you see your professional role, and therefore what are the biggest opportunity for your profession right now? So how do you see your profession in the next 5 years? Luis, you can start maybe.
Sure. Well, I think the new opportunities are going to come in terms of reporting and assurance for sure. I think probably in the future, this ESG reporting is going to, in my opinion, not be under the sustainability department. Probably will move under the CFO responsibility or something like that. So because it is too much for just one department to deal with reporting and also strategy and also social impact and this kind of thing. So I think there are going to be opportunities involving in clients and also in auditors, as this is something that companies are going to be reporting on a more regular basis, and probably we have seen that it's not just an exercise of just once a year, rather than a continuous review of information. And we are starting working with companies to make us for the financial information review of data in an inter exercise of review data. So around September, we're starting reviewing data in order to give them more comfort about the data that they want. So yeah, I'm sure there's.
Yeah. Thank you.
No idea. I don't know. We're thinking 5 years ahead. Well, in this question, we tend to be very optimistic and say, well, I'm a sustainability believer, the general manager of the Association of the Profession. So I should be optimistic, and of course I'm a believer of this functional sustainability, but we don't know because it not only depends on us. It depends on what happens with regulation. It depends on geopolitical issues, and the travel, perhaps, and it depends in our shoes. It depends on our ability of communicating and let people know about the value of working with sustainability and ESG criteria in their companies. In our ability to speak with all departments and convince them and persuade them about that they are winning if they assume some ESG criteria. If you work in the finance department, perhaps you can invest better and get more capital from banks. that you work with human resources, you will be able to acquire better talent for the company, and so on, so on. So there is some internal work for us, but we depend on some geopolitical external regulation, so that we nowadays we don't know what's happening 5 years ahead, but I am convinced and a believer, and I am optimistic. If we see 5 years before, I think that we have made great advance in our role. So perhaps if we think in 5 years ahead, it happens the same. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pedro, what's you're looking forward for us?
Some ideas. Sustainability reporting is not only about Europe. We are an international group, so for us it's crucial that a multinational will rely in a single reporting framework, because all the geographies across the group would be subject to a different standard. So in this case, we could be talking about sustainability under Turkish regulation, sustainability under Mexican regulation, sustainability under, I don't know, US. So this is a little bit crazy if you want to produce regular numbers, regular figures, a corporative dialogue or strategy or definitions. So this is one question. The question to really stabilize the regulation. And once we could achieve these objectives, in your case, or how we have defined the information, it will be a variable like interest rate, capital consumption, or expected P&L, as I have said. So another data for some topics. Also, I think that it's important, once we have been producing regular sustainability reporting, I think that topics will be more familiar. If you see the benchmark from the financial institutions in Europe, more or less, all the financial institutions has the same topical standards. When a bank is different, it's because they have a special activity, or my dialogue, internal dialogue with ideas was, we need to have policies, we have to have objectives, metrics, something or someone responsible for this topic that we are going to report. And if we don't have these ingredients, something is not material for them. We are not going to produce sustainability information and to put in pressure of our governing bodies when we don't identify these ingredients to report a topic. And this, I think, is crucial. So what I hope in 5, 6, 7 years, stabilize the topics, and maybe it will be more the financial function, they produce numbers. It's easier nowadays to produce the financial information than the sustainability information, and this is crazy. Because the fundamentals of our industry is the financial information, and today is more easy to produce the financial information than the sustainability information. I hope in the future it's going to be more easy to produce the financial information because we don't have this kind of concerns, worries about data, worries about methodology, materiality, total materiality, but that has been a nightmare. So once the topics are stabilized, you don't have to again and again and again to produce a double materiality assessment. Because what is important for a company is what is important. I hope. I guess
Let's see how, let's see if your, views will realize or not. So we have to wait about this. I have seen the time, we are running off about the time. I'm looking at the Nico time, but I think we can, collect just a couple of questions if we have from the public before, some closing comments. So if there is someone here that has some questions for our panelists.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to understand why businesses are so upset about the ESRS being complex and complicated and the double materiality being such a difficult exercise. Because especially when it comes to large corporations, we know that most of the European corporations were already preparing sustainability reports, most likely following the GRI guidelines. And so while there is not perfect overlap between the GRI impact materiality process and the ESRS double materiality process, I would think companies may already have a lot of competences to conduct the materiality assessment. And the last bit that was missing was essentially understanding how some of the issues may also be financially material. But that should be relatively easy for a company to do, in a sense. So I'm just, and again, because I am not in a business, I'm more in academia, and I read the guidance from the GRI and the SRS. And I'm trying to make sense as to why it's so complicated. And then on the other side is everybody's complaining about how much information the SRS are asking, but at the same time, the SRS do allow for a lot of discretion in terms of not just which topics are material, but also which type of information company needs to disclose that are material. So I'm just trying to understand whether the complaining, what it comes from, like what are the challenges? Thank you. Who wants to start?
Out of his to say.
It's not so easy. It's not so easy. I think we have to be realistic. And it depends on the size of the company. Imagine a company of 10, 15 employees that doesn't even have a person with expertise in sustainability, and you are the financial director or the communication or whatever, and you have to start reporting, or the company decide to report with some standards. You don't even know. I think here we can speak about two things. The first thing, and for me, the most important thing is that they have to realize and to understand the importance of this exercise. Why it's not just reporting, why it can be strategic for them and a competitive advantage for them. If they don't understand that, it's impossible to work in an efficient way of reporting and collect data and so because they will not want to make this effort. And you have also to have you must, apart from this, the other thing was that you have to have the skills. And many companies don't even have the skills to work in this.
For new companies that have now need to start reporting. for those that have been doing it for years.
Yes.
So I should have clarified that. I'm not thinking about companies that sort of for the first time are required, but companies that were already voluntarily recognized. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and how those companies are prepared. The process is not the same, but they are prepared. And I understand your question. But I think we have two different worlds. The world of this company you are saying, and the world of the thousands of companies that don't have the knowledge, don't have the resources, and don't understand the strategic part of this exercise. That I think is the most important thing. I don't know if I answer your question.
And then they have to deal with us.
Yeah.
You can be reporting information, but it's the information that you really want to report, and with the scope of information that you really consider it was easy to report, and with the methodology that you consider was good to report, and then I have to see that, and I have to agree with that, and most of the time we don't agree. So that's a point for companies. And then talking about the double materiality analysis, companies were used to report really what they want to report. So they did an analysis, they asked the board of directors, the responsible human resources or whatever, and they report what they really consider by themselves that it was material to them. But now I have to see that analysis has been probably been done appropriately way. And sometimes I will have it's a key point for the assurance process to really see that materiality analysis has been properly done and that we agree with the results, because it has a direct impact on the information that you are going to report. So we have seen companies that they try to change the results of double materiality because they don't want to report some information. And now maybe you have been reporting information about some area, but now you have to start to report information from another area that it's the first time, and you have to ask your suppliers to give you information, and your suppliers don't want to give you because they don't care. So why are you asking me why I have to waste time collecting the data for you to report? So it's a very challenging exercise. It's not that simple. So
my view, finance has taken the role to produce the double materiality analysis. It's an important change in our case. Also, it has been critical because reviewers or anything, we were following every topic, subtopic, and subtopic of the regulation, and this is a nightmare. Now, this has changed, and I hope it be like in the near future, because we have involved a lot of hours, a lot of documentation. We have suffered this year more than 7 internal audits, and this is very complicated. With what is our focus? To produce the numbers, to write in the report, or to produce documentation to all the challenges that can be before us. So this is one of the reasons why I think that the omnibus simplifications, without losing quality in the information, that is not the purpose, could be allow more flexibility to the information that we want to include in our sustainability report, because the nightmare is not granting. The nightmare is the administrative burden that has been associated to the previous process procedure to produce the final information. And other question is that we the double materiality analysis still relies on qualitative inputs. Because you can quantify everything.
It was a provocation, right? Thank you.
Do we have other inputs? Okay, so if not, I ask you to join me, for a massive thank to Luis Roman from KPMG, Carlos Arango from DIRSE, and Pedro Angel Rivera Gonzalez from BBVA. Okay, I think that, one final message that they give to us, I try to create a motto from their speech, and I think that the final motto is like, be curious, be resilient, because the movement has started and you will win with sustainability.
So thank you for this amazing panel and also for the previous panel. So now we have the time for lunch, and we will be back at around 3:15 to start with the next session. The lunch is going to be served in the lobby outside, so feel free to join whenever you feel like. And then for those who are online, we will be coming back at 3:15. You can either stay in the meeting, it's going to be open, or you can join afterwards.